This lesson 12 is on slope of a line, and I think all of you have had slope of a line during science class. So this should be a pretty easy lesson. So we're just going to start out looking at these two graphs. We're going to look and see which one is steeper. Now when Slope Man did his ascent going up the hill, because remember we go left to right, he was on his skis, and of course graph B would be the steeper hill. Now, it says write directions that explain how to move from one point on the graph to the other for both graph A and B. I'm going to do this one fairly quickly, but we first of all have to find points on the graph. So here's a point here that's already been given, and here also. So let's use those, and we're going to look at our coordinates, and we have coordinates -2, -1 for this point furthest to the left, and then for the point furthest to the right we have 1, 1. And we're trying to find the slope of this line. And so what I like to do is say, okay, let's go ahead and draw a vertical line through the point. It doesn't really matter which one. I'm just going to do the one furthest to the left and do my vertical. And that line goes through the point x equals -2. So that's the equation for the line, x is equal to -2. Then I'm going to make a horizontal line that goes through the other point. Oops, okay, it's supposed to be right on the line there. And that is going to be the y equals 1, because it goes through the y at 1. Now I'm going to use these lines to travel from one point to the other. So when I travel up the first line, that is going to be what we call for slope is rise over run. If you've ever heard it called that. The only thing I don't like about that is it doesn't always rise. It's vertical movement. So sometimes it goes down and it doesn't rise up, but run goes left or right. So I'm just going to put vertical, V-E-R-T-I-C-A-L, movement, M-O-V-E-M-E-N-T, over run, which would be horizontal movement. I'm going to put MVMT. So vertical movement goes up and down. I'm just going to put a little arrow there that goes up and down. Horizontal movement goes left to right. All right, so when we go up, we can count the spaces, since the spaces represent 1 unit each. Got to be careful on that though, but it goes up 2 units. So that's going to be, since it's going up, we're going to signify direction with a +2. Then we're going to move right to get to this next point, and if we count those units, it's going to the right, so it's +3. So the graph of A is positive, or the slope of A is +2/3. I'm just going to write that right there for now. And we have to write the directions to explain that. So I'm going to say, and there's many ways you could say this, move up 2 spaces from the point -2, -1 along the line, and I'm not going to write the word lines, I'm just going to say x equals -2 because that is a line, until it, and I'm not going to use the word it, I'm just going to say intersects with the line y equals 1. So then we're going to go right, and we're going to go 3 units, which is a +3. So go right 3 units until you reach, and I'm not going to say you, until you reach the point 1, 1. Whoops, I kind of went off the paper there. There we go. All right. So then the second line, we've got points negative, and then once you've counted those, and I didn't say that, then the slope M would be equal to +2 over +3, I'm sorry, using this definition up here. All right, so that would be for graph A. Then for graph B, all right, let's draw it over here. So we're going to go from the point -2 on the x, we always do the x coordinate first, -2, and we're going to go to the point x is 1, y is 3, All right, so we're going to move up along this line here where x is equal to -2. And then we're going to go right along this line here, which is y is equal to 3. So we're going up 1, 2, 3, 4 units, +4, and then we're going right 1, 2, 3 units, so that's +3. So the slope of this other line is m equals 3/4. So just like above, I'm going to use ditto marks. Move up 4 spaces from the point -2, -2, along using ditto marks. The line, this time we're going on the line x equal, it's x equal -2 again, until it intersects with the line y equals 3. And then go right, and we're going to go right again 3 units until we reach the point 1, 3. All right, so there's our explanation there. Now it says write the directions from part B as ratios and then compare the ratios. So that slope is 3/4. So we're going to look at 2/3 and we're going to look at 3/4. Now earlier we said that graph B was steeper. And if we look at their slopes, 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4, which one's bigger? Okay, we could get common denominators if you'd like. Or we could turn them into decimals and divide the numerator by the denominator. If we did common denominators, we'd multiply by 4/4, so that would be 8/12. And if we multiply that by 3/3, that would be 9/12. So 3/4 is bigger than 2/3, and its slope was steeper. S-T-E-E-P-E-R, slope. And it has a greater value, so that makes sense. We could have also done 2/3 we know is equal to 0.6 repeating, and 3/4 is equal to 0.75, and 0.75 is bigger than 0.6 repeating. Alrighty, so let's move on to pair A. And when we look at pair A and pair 1, we're looking at A or B. And now, which one do you think is steeper? Well, I think that slope man, if he's going left to right, would not want to go up graph A. So we're going to say that graph A is steeper. Now, to write the directions, I'm just going to use the ditto marks again. Okay, so for graph A, we're going to move up. Oh, let's draw it first. Okay, so here's our points. And we've got, let's do those in black so we can see that. So that's going to be -4 on the X and -5 on the Y. And then our other one is going to be 1 on the X and -1 on the Y. All right, so if we look at our vertical line, that's going to be through the point X equals -4. And if we look at our horizontal line through the other point, that's going to be Y equals -1 on the Y. So we're going to move up. Oops. We're moving up 1, 2, 3 units, so that's +3. And then we're moving right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units, so that's +5. So we're going to move up 3 spaces from -4, -5 along the line X is equal to -4 until intersects with Y equals -1. We're going to go right. Whoops, I didn't need to do that. I could have done dittos. And we're going to go right 5 units until we reach the point 1, -1. Okay, then for B, same thing. We got a point here, which is -4 on the X and -5 on the Y. And our point over here is +8 on the X and -4 on the Y. So we are going to do a vertical line through the point X equals -4. And then we're going to do a horizontal line through the point Y equals -4. Bam, there's Y equals -4. Okay, so we're going to move up 1 space. So that's +1. And we're going to move right over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 units. Man, that was a lot to count. Okay, so our second slope our first slope is 3/5, and our second slope over here is 1/12. All right, so hopefully it's obvious to you that 3/5 is bigger than 1/12. Okay, got a candy bar cut up into 12 units. We got a candy bar cut up into 5. Well, if I just have 1/5, that's still bigger than 1/12, and I get 3/5. So 3/5 is bigger than 1/12. So since it's greater than, it should be slope, or point, no, line A has the bigger slope. So that makes sense. All right, so then part B, I didn't write, but this is the last time. You can write these yourself from now on, but I need to get through the video. So we're going to say go through, move up how many spaces is it? Move up 1 space from the point -4, -5 again. And then we're going to go along the line x equals -4 until it intersects with the line y equals -4. And then we're going to go right 12 spaces until we reach the point 8, -4. Now, moving over 12 spaces, that's a lot of movement. And we have to count. Well, there's a math way to do it. So just really quick, I'm going to have you look at the math way, because I think some of you are going to find it easier. If you don't have to use it. Okay, but if we look at our movement along this line right here, that is like moving along this line on the x-axis, okay, and we're moving from -4 to the point 8. So we're at -4 here, we're at 8 here. So when we move along that line, whenever we want to find distance, we can always subtract. All right, so if I want to know the distance from 8 to -4, we're going to subtract those. So that would be the same thing as 8 minus -4. And when we subtract those, that becomes plus a -4. And so that's going to be the number 12. All right, and so notice it's positive 12. Now, if I actually did -4 minus 8 first, that's going to be like -4 plus a -8, which is -12. And you say, well, Miss Stevens, we moved to the right, and you're right. So that's why we're using positive 12 instead of -12. So when we move, as we move, and we're moving to the right, we always want to do the number that is over here to the far right, and then subtract the other number, so that's minus a negative. Now, another way you can look at it is distance is positive, so either way, you would get a positive 12. But since we're moving to the right, we want to use the positive 12, because here, negative or positive is giving us movement. All right, so that's extremely important. Now, when we go to do the slope, if you did the positive, well, when you move up, then you would also, since I did 8 minus -4 to get positive 12, and I did this 8 first, and then this -4. Well, then I would have to do this -4 first, since I did this 8 first, and then I would subtract it from -5, then all is well. All right, so if I do that, I'm going to have -4 minus -5, which that's the same thing as plus a positive 5. So that's going to be positive 1. And so we went up 1 positive and right 12 negatives. All right, so you have to be careful. And so what I like to do is name these points. So I'm going to call this X and this Y. And I'm not going to put a last name on them. And you may say, what do you mean by last name? Well, we're just going to say, you know how you have one word or one name starter. So let's say this is Cher and this is Bono. Cher is back in my day. Bono is kind of old too, but you get the idea. They just have one word first names. They don't have last names. Well, then over here, we're going to make this ordered pair. We're going to give them last names. So that's going to be X sub 1 and Y sub 1. And that's just the reason we call it sub is because it's a subscript. So X subscript 1, Y subscript 1. They have to have the same last name. So this would be like Mr. and Mrs. Stevens standing here. We both have the last name Stevens. And then since we did X sub 1 and subtracted, here's X sub 1, and we subtracted X from it here, then we have to use y sub 1 and subtract -5 from it, since we have to follow that, then our signs will be correct, because then I'd have two negatives, and a negative over a negative would be a positive. Okay, so I'm going to fly through the rest of these, and when I say fly, remember you can always pause, and we'll go from there. All right, so same thing on these next two. Which one's steeper? Well, of course, I'm going to say slope man's not going to want to go up that one with his skis if we're going left to right, because it's very steep. So graph A. So when I look at my points, I've got a point here that is at -3, +7, got to do the x first, and then -3, that's what happens when I get going too fast. And then my other point is at 8, 4. All right, so I'm going to look at my vertical line that passes through this point. I'm going to look at my horizontal line, and this is x equals 7, and the horizontal line is y is equal to, goes through the 4 on the y. So I'm going to move up, and I'll see which one's steeper. We said A. All right, so I'm going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's +7, and I'm going right one space, so that's +1. So the rise over the run would be 7 for A, would be 7 over 1, and this is where you're going to write this explanation just like we did on the other one. So A equals, slope of A, 7 over 1. Okay, then when I look at my other point, I'm at the point, or my other line, I'm at the point 2, 1, and over here I'm at the point 8, 4. So now my vertical line is at x equals 2, and my horizontal line is at y equals 4. So now I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, so +3, and I'm going right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's +6. So that's going to be, for B, the slope of B is going to be 3 over 6, which is 1/2. 7 is bigger than 1/2, so that one's greater, so that is the steeper slope. All right, so now we're going to pair 3, and I'm going to look at my points again, and I got a point 1, 1, and I've got a point 6 on the x2, 6, 2. All right, so if I look at, which one's steeper? Well, I'm going to say B this time, because slope dude, he's not going to want to go up that one. So I'm going vertical line, x is equal to 1. Horizontal line, y is equal to 2. I'm going up 1, so that's +1, and I'm going right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's +5. So slope of A is going to be 1/5, and slope B better be bigger because it's steeper, 1, 1, and this point is 2, 5. All right, so when we look at our vertical line, x equals 1, horizontal line, y is equal to 5. We're going up 1, 2, 3, 4, going right 1, so that's going to be a slope of 4 over 1, which is 4, and 4 is bigger than 5, 1/5. So that means slope B is steeper. All right, so moving right along. Got another pair 4, and we'll do some examples. And when we look at pair 4, we've got -2, -2, and we've got 2, 2. So we are going, and which one's steeper? Ooh, that one's hard to tell. Not really sure, so I'm not going to call that one yet. But I'm going to do my vertical line is x equals -2. Horizontal line is y is equal to 2. And I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to go right 1, 2, 3, 4. So this slope of A is going to be 4 over 4, which is the same thing as 1. And then my other slope, let's see, I'm at 1, -2. And I'm at 4, 1. All right, so I'm going vertical at x equals 1, and I'm going horizontal, the line y is equal to 1. All right, so I'm going up 1, 2, 3 this time, and I'm going right 1, 2, 3. Well, that slope of b is going to be 3 over 3, which is also 1. So they're equal. So which one's steeper? Neither. They have same slope. But we didn't know that, L-O-P-E, until we actually calculated the slopes, because visually that one was hard to tell. All right, so now we're going to look at some exercises. Okay, find the slope of each line if needed. Each space on the number line has a distance of 1 unit. What's the slope? And I don't know why it says if needed. I probably accidentally put that in there. Okay, so now, sometimes we're going to have points. We do here. Okay, this point and this point, so that sometimes you can pick your own. And that's what I'm pretty used to doing. So this is going to be the point 1, 4. So again, we're going up on the line x equals 0. Did you know x equals 0 is the y-axis? Yep. And then we're going right on y equals 4, because it's going through 4 on the y. So we are going up 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going right 1. So that's going to be slope of 4 over 1, or 4. And then this slope is going to be, we've got a point here, which is 1, 2 on the x, 1 on the y. And this point here is 3 on the x, 4 on the y. So I'm going to do my vertical line and my horizontal line. This x equals 2, this is y equals 4. And I'm going up 1, 2, 3, going right 1. So this slope is going to be 3 over 1. Okay, and then number 3 says, which of the lines in exercise 2 and 3 is steeper? Well, 4 is bigger than 3. And it even appears to be, it's hard to tell though, but we definitely can see it there. So exercise 1 line is steeper. Slope, comma, slope is greater. That says greater. Okay. And remember, you can pause it anytime you'd like. Okay, here's the next 2. So we got 4 and 5. All right, so this, it looks like it has a point at the origin. Here's what I'm going to tell you now. You could pick any 2 points on the line, all right? As long as, in my opinion, I would pick ones that go through the cross lines so that you can come up here to the x-axis and find a whole number. All right, so this one, we've got a whole number 1 for x and a whole number -1 for y. And this point, we've got 0, 0, because it's the origin. All right, so now if we do my vertical line through the first point and my horizontal line through the second point, remember that's x equals 0, and this is y equals -1. We're going down 1, so -1, and we're going right 1. So this is important because now you should have known slope dude, nice, negative. He's going left to right, he's going down. So that is a negative slope because it'll be, the rise is really a fall. So it's a vertical movement of -1 and a horizontal movement of +1, which is -1. All right, so now let's look at this slope. So we have 2 points here and here, and they do go through whole number coordinates. So I've got x is -2 for this, it looks like P, point P. It looks like 1, 2, -2, 2, and this one looks like negative, wait a minute. Looks like we're going 2, 4. No, that's 1, 2, 3. -1, -2, yeah, okay. So it's still one unit each. So that's going to be -1, -1. So if we look at our vertical, we know this is a negative slope too because it goes down from left to right. So we got x equals -2, and our other line that we drew was y equals -1. So we're going down 1, 2, 3, 4, so -4, and we're going right 1, +1. So that slope is going to be -4 over 1, which is -4. Well, this one's bigger. Oh, is it? Well, not really. It's further to the left, 0, but when we look at the steepness of the slope, we just look at the positive integer So we're just looking at the whole number. Okay, we're not looking at, this is just giving us direction. It's going down from left to right. So 4 in this instance is bigger than 1, so it's steeper, but it's downhill, so it's negative. So really the slope, if we just compare the slopes, this slope is smaller than this slope because we're just looking at that number. So that one's steeper, and it didn't even ask us to do that this time, but that's okay. This one is a steeper slope. You can write that down. All right, and then 6 and 7, and then we're done. Okay, what is the slope? And then you've got to do some practice, but that's okay. What's the slope of this non-vertical line? Okay, now, there are 2 points, and you could pick any 2 points because it's a horizontal line. So I'm going to pick these 2 points since they gave them to us. This first point is x is 0, y is 1. Because I go down to the x-axis, bam, I'm at 0 on the x, but I'm at 1 on the y, so it's 0, 1. And then my other point is at x is 1, y is also 1. All right, now we're doing, remember, it's rise, or we could say vertical change. So vertical change, V-E-R-T, and I'm going to do C-H for change, over the horizontal change, H-O-R-I-Z, change. Well, there is no vertical change. So the vertical change, we don't go up or anything. So there is no vertical change, but our horizontal change, we're going from this point to this point, is positive 1. So it's 0 over 1, and 0 divided by anything. Doesn't matter how many groups you're going to divide 0 into. You're still going to have 0 in each group. You could divide it by 2 groups, 3 groups, but there's still 0 in each group. So here my slope is 0, okay? And we know slope man, our slope dude, he goes, this is 0 fun. This is 0 fun. Okay, so let's come to this one, vertical line. Now we know that slope dude says the worst expletive ever, undefined. So let's see why this is undefined. And here's our 2 points. So my first point, I'm at 1, 2, 3. So I'm at -3 on the x, and I'm at 1, 2, 3 on the y. And then here I'm at -3 on the x, and I'm at 1 on the y. All right, so now remember when we do the slope, we do, and I'm going to do it in red like I did the last one. So slope is equal to the vertical change. Well, vertical change, I'm going up 2. So vertical change is 2. The horizontal change, there isn't any. That's 0. And we know you cannot divide anything by 0 because if you do, 0 groups means this has to disappear. And we can't make anything disappear because we're not magic. So we say that that is an undefined number. You can't define it. And that's what Slope Dude says as he's flying off the cliff. Undefined. All right, have good practice.